Good morning, everybody. Sip your
Morning.
coffee this morning. Get ready to learn the absolute fundamentals of this important subsection of our aging demographic. I'm going to be going over the definitions, one you might expect, and then an expanded one. You'll learn about the challenges that solo agers face, and you'll soon be able to see how your services might be part of the solution. If you will, please save your questions. There's Q&A time that we've dedicated at the end of the presentation for both Brad and myself. Who's your speaker? Well, I'm Nancy Ruffner, patient advocate, a former owner, founder of an agency, as has been explained. In late 2022, I closed Navigate NC and relocated to South Carolina, shifting my practice to consulting in a telehealth sort of fashion. Nowadays, I'm pleased to speak and teach at conferences on issues surrounding healthcare navigation, aging, and solo aging like today. I'm very proud to share that I'm not only listed in the GNA directory, but I'm lucky enough to collaborate with Brad and his organization. What qualifies me to speak on solo aging is that I've worked in this realm for a few years, and I'm among the thought leaders, the speakers, the authors, a collective that's been meeting monthly for about 2 years now to figure out how to move the needle and shine a light on what we're talking about today. I have served solo agers in my patient advocacy practice, and I am a solo ager. Let's get to the why we're here today. There's a couple of fundamental things that you should know. First, you're going to hear me say both solo agers and solos today. I use those terms interchangeably. The other is the classic and working definition of solo agers. Solo agers are individuals who, by choice or circumstance, function without the support system traditionally provided by family. So there's a lot of characteristics that have been identified for being a solo ager, including people who live alone, people who have no spouse or partner, people living with people without living children or stepchildren, and people whose child may be disabled or lacks the capacity to provide support. But actually, it's a much broader definition. A solo ager may have family, but they don't live nearby, that far-flung family. And many of you already know the challenges of long-distance caregiving. You know, family or loved ones could be deployed. You know, we live all over the place now. They may be unable to serve. Maybe that you have family, but they're unable to help, or they're not the best ones. For instance, the child may be irresponsible or addicted, or have a disability or impairment that interferes with their being able to help. Another way to look at the unable, the family that we designated, say, in 1993, may have changed physically or cognitively over time. What happens when life shows up and the one that you're counting on has their own challenges? I can't lift, I can't drive you, I can't do laundry for you. And then there's unavailable. Maybe you have children or siblings, but they're unavailable. For example, you may need me, but I'm having my own hip surgery. The next factor for the expanded definition is unwilling. Maybe they're just burnt out or have always been aloof, or they flat out refuse. Another part of the expanded definition is called duos. Look at the slide there. Anybody notice on the slide that there's a couple there? Well, there's a duo, a partner duo without children. Now, the term duo, does anybody remember back in the 90s the term DINK, double income, no kids? Well, the DINKs and the duos are feeling this now. They're seeing among their cohort who are rushing to help their aging parents, and they're thinking, what'll happen to us? What'll happen to me? I was teaching a course at Duke University in their OLLI program, and two of my students were having a casual conversation out in the hallway. They said, why do we have to why do we have to sit here in front of this solo aging presentation? Why? And she said, well, we're all going to be solos at one time or another. We have husbands now, but this is going to happen to all of us. At some point, we will be solo. And that kind of comment reminds us all of us and all of our clients who are aging. Is there anybody here not aging? All of us should plan and prepare to be alone. At some point, we will be, unless you and your significant other should somehow perish at the same time. The numbers. The Mathers Institute, drawing from the U.S. Census Bureau in 2021, says there are approximately 22.1 million solo agers in the United States. According to a study by Pew Research Center, about 25% of seniors live alone. And Forbes went on in May of 2021 to report that that's the highest rate in the world of people living alone. And the majority are women. Now, they say that the devil's in the details. In this case, the devil's in the definition and how we measure it. It's hard to get clear data when what's being studied may be groups that are 65 and up, 55 plus, 60 and older, 50 and up, those living alone, head of household, not married, not partnered. And what about the expanded definition that we all just embraced? You see, our measurements are all over the place, and so the data rendered can be also. No wonder solo agers have been hidden in plain sight. No wonder we don't have a true view of this population. But what we do know is that more are coming or will be uncovered or identified despite our wacky measurements. It's important to realize that this demographic is growing. A growing number of solo agers will self-identify, and then they'll seek your help. Here's how solo agers were first identified. It was through research by Dr. Maria Carney, and she said more than 1 in 5 Americans are older than 65 or are at risk of becoming elder orphans. 2016. Now, there's some unfortunate phrasing in that paragraph that has stuck for many years. 2 things. Elder orphan, in my opinion, is kind of damaging language-wise. It conjures up the picture of a waif. But Dr. Carney was already seeing the challenges that were coming and calling them to the fore in 2016. And the second thing I don't like about that little paragraph is that it uses the word risk. I don't see it as risk. I see it as opportunity. Now, monikers. We got a lot of monikers, we solo agers. During our very short evolution, we've been called elder orphan, my least favorite. Unrepresented is a term that you'll hear in the legal arena. Unaccompanied may be a term for the ER or in hospitals. Unbefriended. That was hung on us by the American Geriatric Society. And kinless came up a couple of years back. And, you know, even tagging the word kin less, the less bothers me. Language is so important in aging and in healthcare. Don't y'all agree? So from elder orphans to solo seniors to solo agers and now simply solos, we've evolved. We're similar, but not to regular aging people. A couple of things we know to be true about aging. We know that women are going to live longer. We have a longer lifespan, and there are more females than males, so thus more female solo agers than male solo agers. More live alone. We already mentioned that part about the Pew Research and the 27% of Americans that live alone, and that it's the highest in the nation. So how does all this affect solo agers, most of whom are women? This all plays out in a phenomenon that I have dubbed the whammy. It goes like this. It's a given that women live longer. And during their careers, they may stop work to bear and raise children. The result of that is lost wages, gaps in earning and contribution to retirement funds, no Social Security contribution. Now, they may return to the workforce with a big fat gap in employment to explain, and they may earn less money or have rusty skills, resulting in a lesser wage. Then they stop work a second time in their career. At what time and for what? To help aging parents. And when are they doing this? In their peak earning years. Again, resulting in less contribution to retirement, less pension, stopping Social Security contributions, and that's going to come back to bite them at retirement. Less Social Security will have accrued, so they will have a smaller Social Security check. Now, the WIMI is not only a women's predicament, but there are more older women than men that are in this social circumstance. Like other agers, a percentage of solo agers have taken no action to plan, or they're in denial or delayed in planning for some reason, but they lack planning that's going to leave them unprepared. The problem is, for all of us, for anyone, their world is getting smaller at a time when it needs to expand. We need to build our community, build teams, build, not dwindle. Not a month goes by that I don't get a call about somebody saying, I don't have anybody to name as my emergency contact so I can move into that senior community. I don't have anybody to designate as my agent or proxy with healthcare power of attorney. No financial or durable power of attorney designee. I have no right to medical care. And so we skip it and our health suffers. We all hear about isolation and loneliness too, the problems that we have today. And when I speak, I like to take just a moment of reverence for everybody that was affected by the pandemic, what we all went through alone, and many without support systems. And we'll call that a yet. Solo agers didn't fare so well. As a solo ager myself, I was in my own pod, and let me tell you, it was not easy. As providers, you and I know about all that talk and research on isolation and loneliness. All that rings true. Does everybody here know that in May of 2023, our Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, declared loneliness to be an epidemic? Now, there are some positives to solo aging that I want to point out. A lot of the news media and articles you'll find online don't tout this. The headlines certainly don't. They're too busy describing us as needy and waifs. But plenty of solo agers will tell you that they love the freedom. They are not stuck with blood family members. They're not obligated to deal with them or care for them. They get to choose their family, their travel, and they can live life untethered, unconstrained by a lot of the traditional family obligations. They need only make themselves safe and happy. More similar but different challenges, however. Legal is the place where solo agers struggle, like the rest of us agers. I was in a hallway and overheard a conversation relative to this kind of topic, and two ladies were talking, and they said, Madge, which one of us do you think is going to keep our marbles the longest? And while that question made me smile, it was a poignant question. It was poignant because they were in their 60s. Now, in your late 70s, that same question, which one of us is going to keep our marbles the longest, probably has a different answer. And in your 80s, it very likely has different answers. For solo agers, the legal and financial documents are key. Like other agers, we have to learn and think and decide and document and discuss with our very important persons. We just do it differently. We have different factors. I like to say that we especially have to plan, and we have to plan specially. Advanced directives pose a real challenge for solos. It's harder without that built-in family. Often they have nobody to designate as their emergency contact for medical or housing situations, for travel or contracted tour traveling. Nobody's named to place on the form, much less act on their behalf. There's nobody to designate as agent or proxy with healthcare power of attorney or durable and financial. Solos really grapple with this. And then there's naming an executor. Logistics are tough. Fine example, classic example, the ride to the colonoscopy, because you're supposed to have somebody bring you. They're supposed to stay with you, or they're not going to do the procedure, and they're supposed to give you a ride and get you safely at home. You know? I'd like to also point out, do you have your middle of the night person? You know, do you have somebody that you can call in an emergency? You cut your finger severely and you need to get to the ER. Do you have your middle of the night person? Now, solo agents need to identify this person, and I bet everybody right now is thinking, oh, who would I call at 3 a.m.? Do I have a middle of the night person? I guess we all better get busy on that one. Living arrangements is tough. You know, it is always said that we want very much to remain in our own homes often, but that's not always a practical solution, a forever solution for a lot of folks. There's a lot of chatter online in Facebook groups and forums among the solo agers. They're looking for housing models that suit them, that fit them. In our lifetimes, you and I know how much senior housing for the aging has changed. And that's good. I like to think that solo agers are driving some of that change even further. You know, that Golden Girl model is seeing a real revival, because we solo agers know that we need community. And that's a nice segue into our next solution, community. Community is key for solo agers. We know we need that, and for all the right reasons. Community is crucial for everything from combating that loneliness to camaraderie to getting a ride to the colonoscopy. The solutions are in community and in this next thing, interdependence. Let's spend a moment on the concept of interdependence. There's a lot of solutions in solo aging, and a lot of it starts with perception and thinking. We'd be well served to understand the distinct differences between dependent, independent, and interdependent. Now, I bet as service providers, plenty of y'all are going to recognize this statement: I don't want to be a burden. What they're telling you is that they don't want to be dependent. Plenty of people have never contemplated the concept of interdependence. The solution in interdependence is the dependence of two or more people or things on each other. You know, social connectedness, mutuality, reciprocity. For example, you got two people, one needs a ride, the other one can drive. If I help you, you help me. Recently, I've had the honor of helping somebody who was in a surgical boot because the same person had driven me for medical care previously. And a key phrase for all of us is next. You know, listen to this next phrase. You know, people have to learn that interdependence is a good thing, because interdependence removes dependence. Interdependence removes dependence. Relying on others doesn't come easily to older adults. We know this. Interdependence is kind of a means to an end. Consider this: your services could be the needed type of interdependence. The next thing I want to talk about is the microboard concept. Think for a moment about your solo ager friend, relative, or a client who's solo, who needs a circle of care, that village. They need to build a team. Now, I use the concept of microboard in a couple of ways that you're soon going to see. All of us, but most importantly, solo agers need to build a microboard. And this is the people that are going to help them get the things done that need to be done. In building their microboard, they independently enter interdependence. Now, the cool thing about it is the solo ager gets to be the chairperson of the board. They select and fill their chairs on the board. They build their board by selecting them. And this is real power. They can seat and they can unseat. So who's on the board? What could be the open seats on your microboard? For medical needs, might be your general practitioner, primary care provider, could be a main person, or you may have a specialist. Patient advocates can fall into this seat. Traveling therapies, physical therapy, occupational therapy, home care. For the financial chair, you may have your financial professional, CPA, or daily money manager. In the insurance seat, you may have a SHIP counselor, the senior health insurance programs that are run federally in all states. You may have your Medicare advisor or your trusted insurance broker. And then the support chair, and that's a support sofa, might be your family or your chosen family if you're a solo, might involve your clergy or faith personnel, care managers, waiting in the wings, or at least know people from the professional organizations like veterans associations or those associated with your diagnosis, like the American Cancer Society or American Heart Association, MS Society, Alzheimer's Association. Great neighbors in your community can be on your board. Neighbors. So 2 considerations for you right now. Are you somebody that could be selected by your client for their microboard? Are you ready? Do solo agers need what you have to offer? Secondly, thinking about the clients you serve, do you know and network with the related people that your clients are going to need on their microboard? Are you clear in this line of thinking? Make sure you're ready, because now we're going to flip this concept. Yep, microboard. We're going to flip this concept and take a look at ourselves for a moment. Turn it around. Clients have their microboard, and perhaps you're on their board, and maybe you're helping them to fill the other chairs. But what about you as a professional? Are you familiar with the kinds of people that they need? Are you networking with them? Do you know them? Are you ready to serve these solo aging clients? For example, if I'm a patient advocate or a care manager, I probably need to know some elder law attorneys. And if I'm in home care, then I probably need to know about durable medical equipment. If I'm a move manager or a placement professional, then I need to know all the housing options. So here's what flipping the microboard concept can do for you. You can build and strengthen your relationships with ready candidates. It prepares you to meet your clients' needs. Don't you want to be able to say to your clients, hey, I know somebody for that? Don't you want to position yourself as the expert? Knowing other board candidates can help you serve your clientele. You as Learn Idaho members are already doing much of this right now, coming together as a group and networking. And I challenge you now to amp it up, to take your networking to the next level, because understanding what we still need to know as professionals, plus what our clients need, shines a whole new light on this intentional networking. Networking and referrals should become more purposeful and intentional. And that's how we best serve. And best serve is our goal. Well, what's next for you and for me? I have a book coming out this summer. there. I've said it. Watch my website and media for promotion over the summer. It's about handling the emotions of caregiving, something that you all will likely relate to. And this is new. We're having our first ever Solo Aging Day, Savvy Day 2024. There's another patient advocate named Aileen Gerhardt who runs this wonderful resource called Navigating Solo Network, and we're hosting Savvy Day May 15th, first ever solo awareness initiative. And the day is designed to raise awareness about solo aging and bring solo agers together to share resources. Events across America are coinciding with Savvy Day and promoted by lots of different partners. But take a look at that website and tell your solo friends and other providers you may wish to get on the mailing list. You can register for a free online meeting that's going to occur, similar to what Aileen holds quarterly. And there's a membership community for folks who want to join that. But man, does that website have resources? Oops. Okay. Back to what I want us all to do as a result of today's presentation. First, feel free to call me. Let me get the thing. Feel free to call me. Feel free to email. You know I will read every one of them and I will respond. I am your solo aging expert, subject matter expert. I'm available to speak at conferences for your professional organization's events, or you can sponsor me to speak. Now that you know what I'm like, I'll try to do you proud. I have some other ideas about how we can help one another right now, easily, every day. Ideas to grow our businesses. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's enjoy each other's social media. Let's further it. When we see stuff on LinkedIn and other social media, let's extend the conversation. It's great Google juice, and it's free, and it just takes a few seconds. I'm already doing this with a few of you, and we're increasing our visibility. Our clients are finding us. Focus on your microboard. Let's get you being seen. And also take a look at my very robust Facebook page. I roll with really good shareable stuff. If you're not keen on social media, then borrow mine. Share it out. Put your comments. For everybody here is to join my online community. Every week I will email you a teaching slide. An email with a teaching video that's embedded right in the video, and you can also listen to audio or read it as a traditional blog. I want to thank everybody for having me here today, and it's always fun to be